It's time, friends, for an underground adventures in Abytheum. Cecil has tried to prepare our adventurers for what they might find below the inn, but who knows what may happen in the search for Nell's parents. While the girl stays safe above ground with Cecil, our brave heroes venture into the below. Interested in learning more about the world of Abytheum or finding out how to play? Join the Discord. You'll find a link in the description below. While you're there, please check out the links to the Arcane Library, source of today's adventure, and Michael Gelfi, RPG Ambiance creator extraordinaire. But for now, let's adventure.
As we head it, before we head into the basement, Vesper's going to do a couple things. They're going to pat pat Cecil on the shoulder and be like, "It's just a little bit of possession. Drink some water, get some rest. You'll be fine. It's gonna be okay." And then she's gonna have a spare a holy symbol of Tyr and like a little pendant and put it over Nell's head, and just be like, "This will protect you.
Okay.
We'll be back as soon as we can."
Nell looks at you with big wide eyes and says, "Okay, I'll be safe here. Please be careful and bring my mommy and daddy back."
We'll take care of anything bad and we'll bring them back for you. Don't worry.
All right. So she will stay upstairs with Cecil and you find yourselves in the basement. So the door at the back of this room has certainly been forced open, kind of beaten up. The room itself is full of boxes and barrels. It's damp. There is really no light in here except for Deus's lantern. I get the impression that probably if Cecil comes down the ladder, he brings a lantern with him. There's a hook on the wall that you could hang it from. But behind this door, you can kind of see that there are... Come on, roll 20. Don't do this to me. There we go. You can see stairs leading downward.
All right. Zane will happily take the lead. You said we have Cecil's lantern?
Deus had a lantern.
Or Deus, okay.
Sorry, Deus. Yes, had lit a lantern to look down into here.
Okay, I think, yeah, Zane will take a torch out of her, or no, I guess she doesn't have her knapsack with her. That's up in her room. Yeah, so I guess she'll grab the lantern and follow me then, and she'll head down these stairs.
Yeah,
Okay.
Percy actually will kind of stop Zane. If you're taking the lead, you might need a little bit of help, and she's going to cast Resistance, which is a cantrip, and so that will give you a D4 to add to one saving throw.
Sorry, Roll20 is fighting me here. I click on reveal areas and it hides instead. Sometimes it just does this. Okay, we're gonna use polygon reveal instead and see if that'll work. There we go. I don't know why I roll 20 and I have that fight so often. So these stairs head down and then down a little further. And in the end, reveal to you a wide cavern with a very low ceiling that's filled with a brackish water that seems a little deep, sort of hard to tell from where you are. At the far end of the cavern, there's another set of stairs that lead up toward a tunnel that has been kind of crudely carved into the far wall.
Sorry, what was crudely carved into the far wall?
The tunnel is quite crudely carved.
Oh, I see. So this path just ends at the water? Is that it?
Yes.
Interesting. In the dim light, Zane does have dark vision. Is there anything she can see on the opposite side of the lake, of the water?
Roll perception.
9.
Okay. It looks like there's some marks carved around the entrance to this tunnel, but you can't quite make out what they are.
Signs of movement or anything in the water, or is it just still?
If you look down into the water to kind of get a better look, you see a rather alarming version of your own reflection. You look very, like deathly pale with eyes kind of glazed over. Almost looks as if it would be like the turned undead version of yourself. Yourself as some sort of like living nightmare or zombie.
Can Percy use Arcana to know anything about this?
Yeah, if you would like to make an Arcana check for me, definitely go ahead.
Ooh, it's a nat 20.
Yeah.
There we go.
It
+5 if it matters.
You've seen illusions like this before. And you're fairly certain that that's just what this is. That there's some sort of illusion type spell on the water that just seems to be showing you a horrible reflection. If you peer down and look at your own reflection, it's the same thing. You seem to see an undead version of your own self.
Well, it looks like this water is just trying to trick us. I wouldn't trust it if it's tricky water, though. But no, frightening, but we're fine.
Do we have to walk in it?
Can we like go around it? Like it looks like on the map there's space around it.
What you're that black line around the edge of the water is the edge of the room. The water goes right to the edges.
I see. Okay.
Well, there's one thing I can do. I don't think I'd be able to use it to get across, but and Zane will just reach down and touch the surface of the water, and so my storm soul allows me to turn. It says a 5-foot cube of water into ice for 1 minute. I don't know if that is like 5 cubic feet, or if it has to be a 5 foot by 5 foot by 5 foot cube.
I think 5 cubic feet is. I'm willing to do it that way.
Is it possible to use that to make kind of a little ice raft that maybe one of our smaller players or smaller party members could try and forge out on?
Yeah, I think that you could freeze kind of like basically you're making like an ice floe.
Little ice float. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, if
There's a little boat for you.
To a spider, she can also walk on the walls.
Oh. Yeah, I can't see any reason why you wouldn't be able to walk on the walls in here.
Of course, I'd have to actually get into the water to get enough space to be that big.
You could turn into a small spider and I could just push you across on the ice floe.
Percy, make me a perception roll.
But hold on, where's my perception? 10.
Okay.
Altogether.
It looks like on Tiefling you the water would maybe be waist deep. That's kind of the most you can tell right now.
So you said the water would be about waist deep on a tiefling?
Yeah.
so it's not too bad for me. Did it seem like when she checked it that it's just this magical effect of like an illusion? Did it seem like there was anything else to the magic of the water? Like getting actually submerged in it, would it potentially do something?
I don't have detect magic, so I couldn't tell if there actually was magic. Just that I can recognize illusion.
Yeah.
I mean, I can cast detect magic if we need to.
Well, I think Zane's just gonna walk into the water
Okay.
and just try and ford across.
For anybody else, it would be uncomfortably cold, but for you, it's probably pretty okay. You're used to being cold.
I have cold resistance anyway, so I'm just wet. It's not too bad though.
At about halfway across, make me a perception roll.
Ooh. 17.
Okay. You kind of, as you're dragging your feet through steps, you kind of feel like you, kind of feels like you kick something under the water, something sort of small. Feels like not very heavy, maybe like could be a small piece of metal or something similar.
Can I try to do that thing of like when you're in a pool and you drop your like goggles or something, you try and pick it up with your foot?
With your foot? Yeah, I think that's reasonable. You can probably get it up to the surface of the water, like on the top of your boots.
Like I don't want to put my face in the water.
Yeah, so you managed to use your foot to kind of pull it up to the surface of the water, and it's a small silver ring.
Oh. I thought it was a ring, like a finger ring?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, Zane will kind of look at it like, oh, it's a little shiny. And would it fit on any of my half-orc fingers?
Yeah, it probably would. It might have to be kind of like your smallest finger.
Yeah, I think she'll just flip it on.
Yeah. As you put it on, you kind of get the sense that it might be something magical, but nothing like immediately seems to happen. It's just kind of like that little almost like staticky feeling of like touching something magic. You're like, oh yeah, this like kind of feels magic.
All right. Looking at my hand like, and I keep pointing across.
You haven't turned invisible or anything like that.
I didn't instantly die.
Nope. Nope, no negative effects that you can see.
Yeah, so she'll get up out of the water and do that like a dog shake.
Yeah. How are
my
the
actual
Lugosi
dog
and
just looked up
Vesper
at me when I
doing
did that.
back there?
Oh, I should have offered to like carry someone across on my shoulders.
What was that?
How tall is Vesper?
Vesper is probably like 6 feet or so.
Okay.
She's a taller half-elf.
Okay, Lugosi is not big, but Lugosi is also not a fan of water. Surprise. and we'll just very shyly just be like, excuse me, my wild shape is cool, but I haven't learned how to turn into swimming things yet, and also I don't think I want to because I don't really like the water, and that's part of why I left Caterwall. Why is a place for cats right on the water? It's not a good place for me. Anyway, could you maybe, I'm sorry, but shoulders, please?
Well, that one went across and didn't die, so I'm assuming there's not going to be any dead people rise up, so yeah, you can piggyback and we'll try to get across.
Thank you.
Yeah, Zane will just say across the cavern, water's fine, come on in.
Now to Vesper, the water definitely feels a lot colder. Not enough to do damage, but you're definitely from a warmer climate than Zane is. And so, like, you're shivering by the time you make it to the other side. And so once everybody's on the other side, you kind of take a look around. And you can see a few things.
Sorry,
There's-
I'll have to go back to my regular form because I can't fit through the door.
I think that can't spiders fit through a small... Don't they have the ability to fit through a smaller place? Like the way that
Osmosis.
real life spiders can kind of fit into tiny cracks. I'm
Really
not
depends
sure.
on how big my butt is.
Oh, maybe. Most insects that I've seen in D&D seem to have the ability to fit through really small spaces, but I don't know about spiders.
Okay, well, sure.
Touche.
If you're willing to accept that I can squeeze through, then I'll squeeze through.
Do she got the booty?
Oh, she do.
She do.
I'm pretty sure that, like... Yeah. I'm good with that. Like, every spider I've ever seen in real life can fit through a way smaller space than it looks like it can. It's one of the reasons why they freak me out. So ahead of you is kind of a large room with a table sitting in the middle of it. And there are high-backed chairs arranged around the table that you can see from where you are. You're also able to see like a path headed off down to the left from where you are. That seems to, from what you can tell from where you are, lead into a small room. And a path off to the right as well. That it's kind of hard to see what's at the end of it because it's an extremely dark space further down that tunnel.
Can I look through what's on the table?
Yeah, Zane will walk over there with the lantern as well, which I assume, as a given, I kept out of the water.
I'm absolutely willing to assume that you would kind of do that by default.
My intelligence isn't that low, but I was just...
anyone who's checking out the room, make a perception roll for me.
15.
Okay. So Zane, you actually, before you get to the stuff on the table, notice a gilt plaque hanging on the wall. In common, but in a very fancy script type font. The plaque reads, Secret Order of the Eternal Scions.
It's a very fancy font.
Yeah, it's written in like a very fancy scripty kind of like extra dots and lines and squiggles type of script. And below it sits an altar that from across the room here seems to have some sort of gruesome items on it. As you draw closer to look at it, the figure on the altar is recognizable as the god of death in local religion, and in a bronze offering dish in front of it lie what you're fairly certain are 5 mummified fingers.
Well, they're not fresh then.
Not fresh. They look like they've been there for a considerable amount of time.
Is the secret society of what?
The Secret Order of the Eternal
The Secret Order.
Scions. I will just type it in the chat.
Zane will look at the fancy script and she can read. She's like, there's something over here in fancy lettering. It's a secret order of the I don't know what some of these letters are. Eternal Scions. I don't know. There's some fingers in a bowl. If you want to come look at this. Anybody know what this means?
Okay, yeah. So Percy's curiosity has gotten the best of her, so she's gonna go back into her regular form so she can get a closer look.
Let me make you a
It's
normal size again.
Scion, you idiot. And she'll
The S's look like F's. I don't know.
Would this be like maybe a history check I could do to see if I know anything, or?
You actually.
Yeah, I was gonna ask.
You actually wouldn't have heard anything about this order.
No, it's secret, but secrets are rarely kept well.
You would recognize the the god of death on the altar. But what I am going to do is who is reading the parchments on the table there?
This.
Okay. Flipping through the parchments, they're not old enough to like fall apart when you touch them, but they're definitely kind of like yellowed with fading ink. And the parchments describe a vampirism ritual. And as you read, you see that the ritual calls for the intended vampires to gain this power by killing an innocent woman and burying themselves in the earth beneath her flowing blood. Are you proficient in Arcana or religion?
I don't think so. Let me check. Nope.
Okay.
Not at all.
So yeah, you're just flipping through and you're like, oh shit, like this is a ritual for actually like turning living creatures into vampires. What the hell?
If they say anything about that, then Vesper is proficient in religion, so she might know something about it.
Yeah, Vesper, if you take these pages and start flipping through them, you almost kind of like start to laugh to yourself a little bit because you've seen stuff like this before, and it is like the cheesiest of hoaxes. It's the type of stuff that like people will write up this like true real ancient vampire ritual and like sell a copy of it written in human blood for like 500 golds to like anybody who's enough of a sucker to buy it. So you've seen these before and you're like, oh my god, this is so fake. Like there's no way anybody would fall for this, right?
They didn't. Oh, yeah. No, this is like, you can buy that at like the gift shop, you know, near Castlegrass. Like, no, this isn't. You don't think they did think this is real, do you? They did, didn't
Look
they?
at the fingers in the bowl. I have a pretty good medicine. Would I be able to tell, are these real fingers? Because if the parchment is fake.
Make me probably a medicine or nature check. I think either of those things would tell you whether something's a real finger.
Well, I have 6 in medicine and 2 in nature. So that's a 13.
Okay. Yeah, they're real fingers. You can't tell whether they're all human, but they're all humanoid. Like by looking at them, you can't be like, oh, that one's a human and that one's an elf or whatever. But they're real humanoid fingers.
Well, the scam or the parchments might be fake, but these are real. So somebody.
Do we know who these are from? Are they part of the ritual? Like you have to cut off your own finger in order to dedicate yourself to the holy order of really long-lasting children?
As a matter of fact, in kind of damaged parts of the parchments, you like do think that you can kind of make out the word finger. If you look closer, you're like, oh, it says eternal pledge with the finger that wears the ring.
At least it wasn't a usable finger.
Did you read the part about the ring out loud? Would Deus?
Yeah, he
died
read it out loud. He was like, "Here, they shot off their own stupid fingers."
Zane's gonna kind of just lift up the hand that she put the ring on. What was that about a ring now?
I don't know. Can you take?
Zane will try to remove the ring.
Yeah, it comes off quite easily.
Oh, okay. I found this back in the water there. It was on the base of the bottom of the pool.
I
You think
appreciate
this is the ring?
process was to take a ring out of a haunted lake and put it on your finger. I really appreciate that in a person.
It was just a ring. How was I supposed to know it was part of some weird finger cutting ritual? Is it? It felt that I had a little tingle when I put it on, though. Does that mean anything? Can you look at this? She'll hand it to Percy, I guess.
I guess she'll would Arcana or just perception work better on that? Because I mean, I can't detect magic or identify.
Make a perception or investigation roll for me.
Nice roll. Yeah, so that was 15.
Okay, you can see a little, and you do have proficiency in Arcana, right? Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, you can see like on the inside of the ring band, there's just like a tiny little engraving of a feather. And as somebody who's quite experienced in magic, you have previously seen that mark used to designate items that have the property of featherfall.
You're lucky this time. It's not cursed. It's featherfall. You can jump really high and not break your legs.
Oh, I want that.
That'll go great with my other ring.
You have two fancy.
I've got
that's true. You have the jumping one.
Ring my other pinky ring. It lets me jump really high. So if I can do that, that's great.
I love that because this is actually just the ring this wasn't me. This is the ring that's in the adventure, so it was fated.
Amazing. I literally picked the jump ring.
Yeah.
Just the string.
It's perfect. You've got jumping really high and falling really gracefully, like one on each hand. I love it. I love that a lot. So yeah.
Flip the ring back on.
Yeah.
Would that require attunement or?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, does require attunement.
Okay. I don't think Zane would know that.
Percy might.
Is that something? Yeah, would Percy know that?
I think it would be reasonable for Percy to know that.
Or
that type of.
I guess if I have the ring of jumping, or does that one? I forget that require. If I
don't remember if that one just has the height or if it also cushions your landing or not.
Well, no, I'm just wondering if it's something that so my other ring requires attunement, so I do know that sometimes these things require attunement.
Perfect.
So how long would it take me to attune to it? Is that an hour?
I think it's an hour in a short rest.
Okay, I'll do that later then.
Let's see, what else is in this room? Nothing?
Is there just like the makeup of the table, does it look like they were just having a meeting there, or was it more like a party?
It kind of seems like probably like a meeting or something to sort of go over all of these notes.
But you want to bet they buried themselves in the ground under a dead lady and just died there.
Yeah. Yeah.
How did they all bury themselves? Wouldn't someone else have to do that?
I mean, you can destabilize a roof and it'll come down pretty good.
That sounds like the voice of experience.
Climb into a coffin and just hope for the best.
Oh, that's how I feel sometimes at the end of the day. Sorry. Oh dear. So, yeah. It does seem like they were kind of just sitting here to kind of go over all of these notes and stuff.
Does it seem like it was? Is it actually stuff that's just been here for a really long time, or is it made to look old, but it might be more recent?
It actually seems to be kind of old and dusty. Not like ancient, but like decades.
Because Cecil said that no one had been through that door in at least 50 years. Is what he said.
Yeah.
As far as he knew, he has never been through it, and the owner before him had never been through it. Was what he knew for sure. That neither of them had ever had a key.
Some people are just not curious.
I think this.
I know I would have
been
opened
looking
this
for a
door.
life of stability.
I feel like if I had a mystery basement, I would be really tempted to break down the wall and see what was there.
Yeah, I can see that.
Especially if the mystery basement came with a legend of a ghost.
Well, yeah, I didn't think ghosts were real until a ghost showed up today.
I don't
So
think Cecil
I
believed
really
in
wouldn't have
ghosts
cared.
either.
So, quick question: the initial door down the stairs into the pool room, like from the basement, was it broken in or out? Like, does it look like someone was standing in the basement and broke it into the stairs, or were they in the stairwell and broke it into the basement?
It definitely would have looked like somebody broke their way into the basement.
From the stairwell?
Yeah. Or sorry,
Ooh.
broke... Sorry. It would look like somebody broke their way into the cistern, into the, like, sub.
Oh, okay, so they came in through the end.
Going into... Yeah.
Got
That's
it.
what I was trying to say, but didn't.
So they came the same direction we did, basically.
Yes.
Can I pry the plaque off the wall with a crowbar?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna do that just to make sure there's not like a secret safe behind it or something.
No sign of anything behind it. It's
Okay.
just
Well, then I can just bring this to Cecil and be like, "Congratulations, you were home of a cult."
Who knows? He might hang it beside his shield on the wall.
I mean, it could be cool. It's like, congratulations, people thought they could be vampires in your basement.
Yeah.
It is very shiny and fancy looking. I can barely read it.
Vesper checking out this other room down here?
Yeah, I was going to say that Vesper's going to check out that little room and see if there's anything.
Yeah.
Then I'll go follow with Vesper.
The hallway that leads down this way is like an old packed dirt path that looks like it hasn't been disturbed for a very long time until right now. It's a quite small room, and there are like some burlap bags and a couple of chests that are sort of scattered around the room. All just looking kind of dusty and in disrepair, like they've been sitting here abandoned for quite a long time.
And I kind of use my sword to kind of poke at like the bags, maybe break them open and see what's inside, if it's like their personal belongings or if it's just like food or something.
They'll do the same with their pike.
Yeah, what comes out, it seems to be like just kind of like dirt, husks of seeds, that type of thing. Essentially it kind of comes out like compost, so they probably were sacks of provisions at some point, but it's been a very long time.
Percy's going to move to the other hall to kind of see what's over here.
Okay. What's everybody doing in the room as you...
I want to check the chests.
Okay.
Oh, we didn't open the chests yet?
Nope.
Okay, yeah.
Just the
I want to see what's in the
bags.
chests too.
All right.
What's in the bag?
So
what's in the bag?
Who's gonna open a chest?
Ias is.
All right. Make me a dexterity saving throw.
That would be a 4.
Ooh.
Do that. Zane's just like, oh no, wait, because I've danger sense, but it only applies to me.
I missed my +5. It's just a 9, but it's better than 4.
It's better than 4, but it's not going to be enough. You open it up, and like this spring-loaded arm just kind of like slaps over and like drives a needle into the back of your hands.
Oh, son of a bitch.
And that does... Ooh. That does 20 points of poison damage.
Wow, Jesus.
So it gets you really good.
So that's over half of my hit points. I'm gonna have to sit down.
There are like 50 silver in the chest.
These are mine. You can't have any more of these.
So that's interesting. Zane's gonna go over to the other chest and using her pipe from a distance, try and see if she can pry it open.
Yeah, you manage to kind of flip it open, and the same kind of spring-loaded arm comes out, but it just hits your pike and kind of stops dead. And there's
a trap on these.
There's like a whole 700 copper in this one.
Ooh.
Anybody who's still in the room also make a perception roll for me?
4.
18.
Lugosi, you're kind of like peering around, and like once you saw that first trap spring, you kind of got away from the chests. And as you're looking around the room and trying to avoid those, you actually spot a hidden door in the wall beside the chests, and it leads through to another very similar room. This room has another 5 chests in it. These ones certainly have not been disturbed in a long time. They look stronger. They look finer. The metal that holds them together and forms their locks is quite finely worked. They seem expensive and very well crafted. And each of them, as you look closer, has a name inscribed in it. And the names that you read are Irvinson, Moldavia, Bartov, Argovian, and Tulis. I will type those in chat just in case anybody wants to have them handy.
Did anybody was I able to tell that was it best? No, it was Dias. Got stabbed basically. So if I'm all the way over here, I wouldn't have seen it, but did I hear you cry out?
I did say, fuck, this is all mine. So.
So you can hear something happen.
Stabbed, though.
I think Lugosi would have seen it, and noticing that there's more chests now is gonna cast Find Traps.
Okay.
One room too late.
Yeah.
Choice.
To see if there's any traps.
Anybody got healing so I don't die next combat? It literally took over half my health.
I should just let you hold on to that as a lesson learned, but yes, I will heal you. So I do have cure wounds, so that's 1d8. So you get 8.
Thank you.
And Vesper will do the remaining 12. So I think you got 20.
Appreciate that.
So yeah, I'll do 12 hit points of lay on hand.
All right.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Makes
I should have let you do yours first.
Yeah, with 3.
Oh dear, someone in chat is really commiserating on the whole being killed by chests things. I am a T-Rex says one of my Gloomhaven comrades has been killed by like 4 chests in 9 games, so I don't trust chests. Okay. I find traps, Lugosi. You do not sense any types of traps at all in this room, actually.
Huh. I think this is okay. I'm just gonna,
Do you want me
check.
to open one?
Yeah, can you open this one right here, please? And it's just this first one directly in front of me.
Which, okay. Yeah, Zane will go over. Did you take a look at it first and see how it's closed? Like if it looks like it's locked?
It definitely appears to be locked. Like there's like a
Oh
straight
no,
up like
if only
being
we
through
had a
flap with a
rogue.
good lock on it.
So she'll try and just like move the lid on without unlocking it first and seeing if that does anything.
No such luck. It is secured quite well.
Even with like a good strong shove or
Yeah.
like strong pull.
They're very
All right.
well made chests.
Hey, Dias, you think you can pick this without getting stabbed by something again?
Well, I can only try.
Yeah, so if you want to make me a dex check.
A dex?
Yeah. You have
Oh,
you
I
have,
leveled up my sleight of hand for nothing.
well, you have thieves.
Oh, I understand his dex.
I'm assuming you have thieves tools.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I do.
So just your dex will be good.
Okay. It's 16?
Will not do it. You're kind of poking around in there, and this lock has a much more complicated mechanism than you're used to, actually. And every time you think you've got it, something just clicks back into place, and it doesn't open. They're extremely well made locks.
Wait, if I have proficiency, does that mean I add sleight of hand proficiency, or because my dex is +2, but my sleight of hand is +8?
Oh, let me just double check. But the way it's written in here is just dex.
Okay, that's my bad. I made a mistake.
It's as far as I know, there's always been a lot of debate on picking locks. Let's see. Okay, oh my god, there's a lot of different options. You have thieves' tools. You are proficient with them. You add your dex and your proficiency.
Okay, then that would be 14 plus. That would be 17?
Still not enough to pick the lock.
Damn.
Yeah, they're like, you're really quite puzzled by how intricate these locks are. And as someone who's picked a lot of locks, you know that nobody's going to invest in a chest that locks this well unless they're using it for something they really want no one else to get their hands on.
This is high quality.
Made of wood?
Wood and then kind of like bound in metal.
I recognize these names on them.
Who is local to the area? Vesper, I think. Is that right?
Yeah, Vesper is.
And also Percy.
Yeah.
So, Vesper, a couple of these names might look familiar to you. Percy, they would all look familiar to you, actually. If you head in there and read them all, they're names that you haven't like commonly heard a lot, but you know that they are the names of kind of old rich families from the area, ones that aren't necessarily around anymore, but there are still things named after them. Like in particular the name Talise. You know that like outside of town there's this old kind of crumbling castle keep that everybody is always called the Talise Keep because it's the name of the family that used to own it, but kind of the family hasn't been heard from in a long time. So as far as you know, these families have all kind of died out over the years,
Mhm.
but there's still stuff named after them in the area.
Okay, so I'll share that information that these are all families that I guess I would assume this is why they don't have any living members now
Because they
all
buried
were-
themselves under a dead person?
Yeah, I know where the Talise building is. I wonder if they have keys in there. But I do think the more pressing matter would be to figure out the ghost. But if you guys are itching for more adventure, you could probably just go find the keys in there, bring them back here, rather than trying to beat a chest open.
Can I try and wedge it open with a crowbar just a little bit? Just one pry.
I'll give the help action on that.
Yeah. Make a strength check, I guess, for that.
Oh, does anybody else want to use my crowbar?
Zane just holds a hand out and says, or doesn't say anything, just gives you a
Here
look.
you go. You can have my crowbar.
Can Zane get the help action now? Or from Dias?
Yeah, if you were gonna help, then helping in return sounds good to me.
Um, 18.
Yeah. So you managed to pry it open just enough that you can kind of get a peek inside with the lantern nearby. There's what appears to be like a scroll bound in a ribbon and sealed with wax, some fine cloth, and even some pieces of jewelry. So it does seem like, it might actually be worth it to get into these eventually.
With it pried open a bit, can Zane try and like take one of the axes and like wedge it in the open part to keep that part open, and then use the crowbar on another spot to try and open it the rest of the way? Kind of working on like weakening one hinge after another.
Make another strength check.
Okay. Which number is that? The one on this die looks a lot like a 7, and I thought it wasn't as bad as it was. That's a nat 1 though.
Okay. So no,
so 5.
the crowbar kind of like slips, and you can't. You're strong, but you can't get a good purchase on it.
Rats. These are some real slippery chests.
It's probably
Certainly wanted to
worth
keep what was ever in them.
Yeah, it's probably kind of worth coming back to them eventually, for sure. Like, there's stuff in here that you're going to want.
Fucking rich people. And their fucking rich people boxes.
Yeah, I
just
agree
keep
that the
everything in the
chests are awesome. Probably should make sure no one else is dead. So we should probably come back to these.
Right. But just a quick check: are they small enough that Zane can pick one up entirely, or are they pretty solidly on the floor?
They're a good, kind of 4 foot wide, 2 feet deep, kind of like they're big chests.
Got it.
You could probably fit a whole Lugosi inside one of them. Not that I recommend it, but just as a measure of size.
Okay, so Zane will be like, why don't we circle back around to these? Keep heading down the other way?
Yeah.
Heading back out with the lantern, Zane will follow back out to Percy, and Zane can take the lead again, just in case anything pops out. So at the other end of the room with the table, there was another pathway, right? Up at the top? Or like a fork? Okay. Which way do you want to go then? Should we head down this way to the right, or do you want to go
Well, we can do a quick check of this one and see if it's not just another cave with...
Yeah.
Alright. So yeah, Zane will head up around the corner here.
So, by the time you get that far, you can actually see pretty clearly into a very large room.
Whoa.
And what you can see is that in the middle of this room, the ground has just washed away. There is this extremely deep chasm with like an ancient creaking rope bridge that stretches across it. Like, obviously, this whatever happened here happened a very long time ago, and the earth has just fallen away. And near the ceiling, which is about 25 feet up, there are these cages hanging from the ceiling, and you can see in each of them a skeleton that all look as if they died with arms or legs kind of reached out through the bars of their cages.
They had 5 chests and 5 names and 5 cages.
Who put them in the gibbet?
Hey, maybe the skeletons have keys.
Are they also missing fingers?
I don't think they would those cages if they had keys on them.
Somebody roll perception for me, or everybody, whoever would like to.
I got 17.
15?
Okay. You can't tell from where you are whether these skeletons have all of their fingers or not. But as you're kind of peering at them through the dark, you can see that one of the skeletons in one of the cages over the chasm, let's grab the right tool so I can ping, appears to be wearing golden bracers. Other than that, you can't quite make much out.
I do want those.
So if we're closer to at least the cage that's on our side, is it? You said it was hanging. Like, how far is it hanging?
So like right up near the ceiling. So the bottom of the cage is probably about 15 feet up.
Okay. I'm guessing that the families who have the gilded chests didn't put themselves in here, so these might have been sacrifices for their fakey vampire game.
Possible. So it's also possible that they just were locked in the cages for some reason, and then the people buried themselves under the blood of a dead woman and then didn't become vampires and just left these people here and they died in the cages.
Why leave them in the cages, though?
Well, I guess they needed food after they became vampires. So that's a possibility.
I don't usually keep my food 15 feet off the ground above a chasm.
Well, you've never been around bears, I guess.
I have been around quite a few bears. This is not where bears live.
Are the cages hung with
And Zane just points to one of
or-
like the furs on her back, and it's a bear fur.
Yes, they're hung with chain from the ceiling.
The one that's closest to us, can Zane kind of reach up and poke the gibbet with her pike? Just kind of move it a bit?
Yeah.
Get it
You
swinging?
definitely can. As you do, the skeleton starts to like move and thrash in its cage. And
Hey!
As you watch, each of the other ones in turn does the same. And once all 5 of them are kind of like reaching out and thrashing, a wind begins to rise from the chasm. It smells horrible and stale, and is just this, you can see it, it's this greenish color, and it brings with it this awful howling sound, like the anguish of dead spirits. And I'm gonna get everybody to roll a Constitution saving throw for me.
Ooh.
Eight.
Oh, I have advantage against being poisoned,
Okay,
if that's what this is.
this is not.
Rolled a 10.
A 10.
Did anyone
Eight.
roll?
Tens.
Did anyone roll over a 16? Okay.
No.
So Percy takes 4 points of necrotic damage. Everyone else takes 9.
Oh!
Thanks for healing me before.
And this wind is
Zing
so
gets,
loud, so terrible that you can't hear anything over it at all. Like
Sorry, Zane, did you add your +4 that I gave you when we came in?
Resistance only lasts a minute.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
Keep
cantrip.
interrupting.
So yeah, this is such a loud, all-consuming noise that you can't hear each other over it. You really can't hear anything except for this horrible sound.
And you said that, so aside from the skeletons, was there anything else that we could see?
Nothing else. One of the skeletons is wearing gold bracers, but other than that, all you see in this room is the bridge across the chasm and the like sickly green color of this wind that has blown up out of it.
Just since the poking of the skeleton thing is what triggered this, Zane's gonna just kind of like and try and stab the I because I have 10 feet reach with my pike and I'm 6'6",
Yep.
I can stab a 15-foot high
Yep.
skeleton, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to stab the red dot skeleton.
Yeah,
that
sure thing.
I'm standing beneath. 16.
Yeah, that's a hit.
That's just 6 damage.
Okay. Both of its arms just fall off and out of the cage. It's still kind of thrashing around. But
This
it's
the one with the bracers?
sorry?
Gold bracers? Is this the
No,
one?
the one with the
Okay.
bracers is out over the chasm. It's the one with the orange dot. If everybody wants to keep attacking the skeletons, we don't necessarily have to run initiative because they're in cages and don't have weapons. But we could just kind of generally go in order. That's if you want to attack them.
I don't know if I can stop this wind, but something that I don't know what's going on here.
On range.
I just-
So.
A warding wind spell. Could I counter the wind? Counter wind?
Um,
It says a strong wind 20 miles per hour blows around you. Although it would get even more loud, it also deafens other creatures.
Yeah, this is also like it's not a natural wind, so I don't know if that
Yeah.
would be enough to
I don't think
counter
that's
it.
how wind works anyway.
Yeah, there's a different wind spell that I think does can counter a wind like that, but that's not that one.
You might just end up
Why
making
don't we
like a
just go down a
tornado.
different tunnel? This tunnel sucks. Let's go down a different tunnel.
Yeah, I kind of feel like maybe we should just kind of let this one be for right now. You know, our fake vampires are in another tunnel.
Part of valor and all that.
If you'd like to go check out somewhere else, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, Zane will follow them back out there. Does the wind follow us, or is it just in there?
The wind does not follow you. It is only in this large, terrifying chasm room.
Cool. Was it damaging the bridge at all, or did the bridge look like it was holding?
The bridge is definitely shaking, but like shaking and rattling around in the wind would probably be pretty tough to cross it. As you make your way back down the hallway, the sound of the wind sort of dies down. You can still, if you listen, hear that it's off in the distance, but it becomes much quieter once you're down the hall. Where would you like to go?
I want to go now.
Can I hold up my lantern and see what's down either one?
Yeah, Zane can check them out too.
So, there's a closed. Oh, come on, polygon reveal. So there's a closed set of doors in one spot. And the hallway just kind of narrows and narrows in another direction. Closed door, a long hallway. However, the room that you are right by is the interesting one. Because as you look into it, you can see two bodies laying on the floor.
Oh no.
A man and a woman, wounded, blood running from their wounds, but still breathing. Both are unconscious, but they are still breathing.
I actually do have medicine kits, or healer's kits, sorry, so I can stabilize them.
Okay. The woman appears to be stable. The man is not.
Okay, that's good because it turns out I only had one and I thought I had two.
And if so you can stabilize him. Do you want to make a medicine check for me while you're there?
I'm modifier. So that's a dirty 20.
Okay. So as you stabilize and heal him, his eyes slowly blink open, and he looks up and around and says, "Who are you?"
Slightly better thieves than you are.
Thieves?
I think we found your daughter.
Yeah, I know. You're a cleric and you're here to fight evil. I don't care, whatever. You broke really badly into here.
He doesn't hear anything what you say. He's trained on Percy. He's like, "Is Nell safe?"
She's fine. She got woken up by a ghost, but she's fine.
Oh, thank God. She was all that I could think of. He kind of looks down at himself, and he's been quite thoroughly stabbed in the side, marring the white robes that he's wearing with an ornate green and silver surcoat. And he turns and looks at Naomi and says, "Please, I have nothing left in me. Is there something someone can do to heal my wife?"
Do I have any? I should. Yeah, I have spell slots left. Yeah, I will. Oh, I can do. I'm actually going to cast Cure Wounds as a second level, because I forgot I could do that. And so
I'm
that's
so
two.
used to not having healing spells.
So that's 13.
Okay. So with healing, you were able to rouse Naomi as well, and she sits up, and the first thing she does is kick away the long sword that's lying on the ground beside her, and she looks at Victor and she says, "My love, I am so sorry. I did not know what to do," and she like throws herself into his arms.
Touching, but what happened?
Naomi looks up at you and says, "Victor he was possessed, that awful ghost woman. I know she was making him fight me, but I didn't know what to do. I had to save myself. I wasn't trying to hit to kill. I thought that if I could incapacitate him that I could deal with things from there." And Victor rubs a hand up and down her back and says, "I am so sorry, my love. You did what you had to do, and I would never fault you for it."
What are you two doing down here?
If you're going ghost hunting, why didn't you bring anything to stop possession? I mean, it figures you'd know that ghosts exist, so wouldn't that be like the first tool you get if you're gonna go ghost hunting?
We weren't hunting ghosts, we were hunting vampires.
You know these are fake vampires, though, right? Like, did you figure that out? These are fake vampires.
Well, once we'd read the documents, we were fairly certain, but we'd heard of the cults and had no way of knowing whether they'd succeeded or not. It's what we do. We travel and we hunt them down.
You caught her.
Well,
If you didn't find vampires, did you find anything else? I mean, aside from the ghost, which found you.
the ghost found us, and that is all. I mean, there's that room full of terrible skeletons, and
Yeah, we
this
saw that
room
one.
with its vampire nonsense, and this library. He gestures around him, and you can see that like the shelves on the walls are full of books. He's like, but none of it is what we expected, and well, we suppose there are no vampires to be found, but a ghost there certainly is, and she's terribly angry.
Well, yeah, you know, she was murdered by fake vampires. So I'd be angry, too.
I suppose.
I mean, I
that's
find
true.
being murdered in general is generally something that makes people cross, so.
Yeah, I feel like, you know, being murdered for no reason or by stupid people makes it worse.
I mean, to the people who do it, if you're going to be randomly murdered by somebody, they're usually idiots.
It's true.
If I take a minute to look at the books in this library here, do any of them stand out in any way? Or are these more of the same, like, hokum fake
Yeah, they
vampire?
stand out to you in the same way that those scrolls did, in that they seem to be just utter nonsense. Utter nonsense. I'm just reloading the map because I didn't realize that on the stream it was not showing.
Well, Queen Victor, are you well enough to get back to your daughter, or do you want to help us hunt the ghost?
Well, we've come this far. I don't know what we could offer other than aid. Neither of us are at our fighting best, but we would assist you the best we can.
Do I know anything about fighting ghosts? Like, do I have any? I guess would that be Arcana, religion?
Probably an Arcana check.
Everything's an Arcana check if you're creative. 14. How do we get rid of the ghost? No, I'm sorry, that's 16.
Most of what you've heard about getting rid of ghosts is less about fighting them and more about freeing them from what's holding them to this world. What could still be holding this ghostly woman here to this world? What has become of the strange cult that once gathered in these underground chambers? Cutting off fingers? And will our heroes manage to make it back safely to finish their night of rest? Find out on further Adventures in Abytheum.